Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. Today, we have a special guest. We have Monica, who is the head of community for Upstream, which is the easiest way to start a DAO. Super excited to jump into her Web3 journey, talk about DAOs, learn about DAOs, and she throws a lot of NFT events. So we're definitely going to talk about that. And so, yeah, Monica, welcome to the show, first of all.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jen. I've heard great things about this podcast. So I'm super excited to meet you guys and even hear about you guys, but also, of course, share my NFT or Web3 journey into the DAO space.
Yes.
Cool.
So, Michael, Michael.
I was just agreeing. That sounded awesome. Yeah, ready to get rolling. Nice to meet you, Monica. I don't know if we cross paths at that Web3 party that we're going to talk about, but you guys threw an amazing party, all you ladies, and that was a lot of fun. Probably the best venue. The best venue in New York was that place.
Oh man,
wasn't that really cool? Indoor, outdoor. No, I mean Union
Get that
Square.
Right.
That was really nice. That was the best. That was the best venue. Indoor, outdoor, right in the square. It was very nice.
Oh yeah, appreciate that. We did a lot of venue searching, right, Jenny?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God, it was getting stressful towards the end. We're a lot of venues super booked up and charging a lot of money, and it was hard to find a great venue, for a good deal and everything. But yeah, so actually, that's a great thing to talk about. First, a lot of you probably know Monica through the Web3 party that we threw. So I had been talking about the Web3 party so much leading up to it on the podcast. And so in New York, my first time collabing on an event, ever throwing an event, Monica's probably 50th time because she throws just a ton of events, and I definitely want to dive into that. But we collabed in New York on a party. So me representing Evaluate Market, Monica representing Upstream, Steph, my twin sister, representing Cryptoys, Swicky representing her Bored Ape Kiki, and then Sarah Stargirl representing Juicebox Friends. And we've actually had all of these ladies on the pod, and so I'm happy to finally get Monica on. And it was just a lot of fun. Probably had about 800 total people throughout the night coming in, I would say, give or take maybe 100 or so. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And Monica's honestly so good. She's such a natural. I was low-key freaking out, all nervous. And Monica's just all chill. But yeah, I kind of wanted to start with our history together because, it's not often that I get to interview somebody who I've actually met years ago. And I had kind of forgot about that initially when you brought it up. And then I was like, oh my God, no way. That's so wild. So yeah, why don't you, Monica, share the story on how we originally met a couple years back?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So basically I knew Jenny before she was Jenny from the blockchain. So that I feel like just seeing you grow has been really inspiring. And I'm really proud of you and Steph for everything you've done. And whether it's Web 2, Web 3, or even Web 1, it's you guys consistently provide value and help people. So I definitely, Jenny, hats off to you for the work you're still doing years later. But yeah, Jenny and I, we met, I think it was 2019. So it's a really funny story. And you might have heard of the book, Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. Everyone always recommend. If you even tweet right now, hey, what book should I read? Think and Grow Rich is 100% one of them. So this community or this group of people wanted to throw the Think and Grow Rich tour. And I was actually in grad school working for a global speaker. That's literally what he would call himself. He'd call himself the networking billionaire or something, some crazy title. And I always like, I was helping him. I was like his speaker assistant, would go to all the events with him, make sure people knew what he offered and stuff. So, I was about like 22 years old at the time, and you don't really see young people in the room or behind or backstage or anything. So it was really funny. It was my first day at the conference and I was like super nervous. I'm like, oh my God, like this is so cool. Like, it's my first big conference behind stages. Like I'm talking to all these VIP speakers. And then I see, two young ladies who are about my age walk in, and it's Steph and Jen. And they were actually invited to the stage. And the keynote speaker or the head of the whole conference was like, I want everybody to know these two young women who have literally volunteered their time to post on social media, to give back to this community. And you 100% have to know them. I'm like, wow, these girls are like badass. Like literally, I don't know anyone my age doing this. So I will never forget them. And I was like, I was in the crowd at the time. So yeah, they obviously didn't remember me as much as I remembered them because, we did have a chance to talk. And I remember I was like, oh my God, like you guys are so cool. Like, it's really awesome seeing, young females in the room, like building and working hard. So when I did see them last November for NFT NYC, I was like, what the heck? Like, what are you guys doing here? And funny enough, my co-founder of Upstream and Steph, which is Jenny's twin, was actually her co-founder, my co-founder are like really good friends. So they ended up like co-hosting the event at NFT NYC together last year in November. So I was like, oh my God, like I know you ladies, like, I don't know if you guys remember me. And I think I had to like really refresh their memory for them to remember me.
You had to show a picture and I was like mind blown.
Yeah, I literally had to show them a picture, but yeah, that's how we met. And I was like, okay, like there's a reason we're meeting again. And then, we started seeing each other at conferences again. And then we all became friends and we threw a Web3 party together about like a month ago. So that's kind of like our story.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy. Man, such a small world. And Monica's honestly like one of my favorite people. She's such an awesome human. But I'll say like a quick version, I guess, from my perspective of that. So yeah, basically Steph and I got really into entrepreneur events. We decided we wanted to be a part of them. The only thing we were really good at was social media. So we kind of reached out to all these different people throwing these entrepreneur events. And one of them responded back to us, and turns out he was doing a whole tour, a US tour, throwing a bunch of different Think and Grow Rich events. He got the rights to like throw events like with the name and everything, and he's like this multimillionaire, right? And we were pretty young, had just moved out, and we were like, hey, like, can you fly us out to your event? Like, we jumped on a call, can you fly us out? Like, we'll do this for you, and we'll, make videos and whatever. And he's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. But if you sell like 100 tickets or something, I'll fly you guys out, like something like that. And so we kind of tried, and then we like failed. And we were like, you know what? We were so determined. We're like, we're just going to buy the ultimate, like there was like, $59 for general admission. And then it was like the VIP was literally like $2,000, which is, I think, all the money we had at the time. And we were like, let's just buy the VIP. Let's sit front row. Like, we want to like show up and like, show him that we're there and we're committed. And like, we were determined to do this whole tour with him. And like, we wanted him to like hire us, So we like show up and we start like doing these Instagram stories, which is what we we were like claiming that we wanted to do. And he was just like blown away that we were just there, like putting in the work for nothing, and he was like, oh my God, these ladies are like crazy, probably. And so he just brings us up on stage. I was so nervous. It's my first time being on stage. Steph is definitely a little bit more of a natural with talking. So she kind of did most of the talking, but he's like, he was really hyping us up. And I'm like, okay, this dude's really hyping us up. I mean, we did fly all the way out from Seattle, like do this whole thing. But yeah, and that really sparked it. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to bring these ladies on the tour, and then they're going to be my social media people. And that's honestly how my like entrepreneur journey began. And things have pivoted since then, after the tour, ended up doing something else and all that, but it was such a great learning experience. And yeah, I met Monica on that very first Think and Grow Rich event where we were like brought up on stage, and it was like a whole thing. So that's just so funny to me that, we have that history together. And yeah, like Monica said, that when, a month ago we throw an event, and it's just crazy how the world works here. But yeah, Monica, I want to get a bit into throwing events, because you're really good at throwing events. And I'm also curious, I guess probably first we should dive into like your Web3 story and how you got into the Web3 space.
Yeah. And Jenny, that was my first time actually hearing that full story.
Oh my God, wait, really?
So
I got to tell you the more detailed version. There's so much more to it.
So I was definitely enjoying every second. But yeah, so I mean, I got into I think the first time I actually started hearing about NFTs or like people profiting off of NFTs was about a year ago. So before I was at Upstream, I was building South Florida's tech hub. I worked for one of the leading nonprofits in South Florida that would connect corporate companies with startups and universities and coding schools, and just being the plug really for anything related to that. And my friend was working at Upstream he is still working at Upstream at the time, or he's working at Upstream right now. And he's like, we're opening up a community manager role. I think it'd be perfect for it. Like, what are your thoughts? And like, at the time, Upstream was a Web2 platform. We were building the future of communities through just like networking and like curated moments. So I was like, tell me more about it. So he told me more about it. I ended up being excited about it and like, okay, I need to take this opportunity. And, right, like my first week on the job, which was last August, like August 1st, my CEO sends me a 12-page PDF of DAOs. And I'm like, he's like, we're probably going to be doing this soon, so you should probably read up on it. I'm like, DAOs, like, what does that even mean? And also, like, why am I reading a 12-page PDF? Like, I'm not in college anymore, So for me, it was like a shock. It was the first time I heard about DAOs. And my co-founder, he's like pretty big into the NFT space. So, I was just watching him like, make all his profit from NFTs and like talk about Web3. And I'm like, I need to get in that. So eventually, 2 months into my role is when we started hosting, more Web3 focused events. So we started a series called WTF. And we also created a YouTube series of how to set up your MetaMask, how to, set up your Coinbase account, like how to set up your hard wallet. And this was like October. So if you actually look in retrospect, last October, there wasn't really much content around that, like how it is today. So we definitely were a little bit more of a head start in our journey with educating people in Web3. And that's really how we built our foundation. And by November, we ended up launching in beta a DAO platform. So we've onboarded, different DAOs and with different purposes onto Upstream. And today we refer to ourselves as like the easiest way to start a DAO, because we're really focused on like simple UX UI, no code experience. How can you get people to interact with a DAO that doesn't require much stress or manpower, and just definitely easy?
And what is a DAO for those that are wondering, like, what exactly is a DAO?
Yeah. So DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organizations. So the simplest way to put it is it's basically a community. It could be, 10 friends, it could be 100 friends that have a shared wallet together to do things that they care about. So for example, let's say if, everybody here, or even, a group of friends, wanted to host a pizza party, right? So each of us put $10 in towards buying the pizza. But let's say, Jenny, if you put in $15, then you get a bigger say in the pie, and you get to maybe decide the toppings. So basically, it's a community shared wallet where you could do stuff with it. And like some examples that are existing right now are like, investment clubs, investment DAOs, where you bring your friends in together to buy certain NFTs, Another example are single purpose DAOs. So a few months ago, the Constitution DAO kicked off to like buy the Constitution, which probably wasn't going to happen, but it was just a really fun way to show people how you could pool money together to do things that you care about.
Yeah, I love that. And I remember when in Miami, we were at some conference and you're like, you were showing me and how easy it is to do that too, to start it out and like create. I didn't realize how simple it was. I guess maybe Upstream just makes it really simple, but you know, the way you described it too, I thought that was so great and so simple. With the whole, you can, decide the pizza toppings. And I really like that description a lot. Can you make money like with like, let's all buy these NFTs and then sell them together? Like, can you do stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that we've been talking about a lot is, we actually had DAO Masters on Upstream as a guest speaker. And this was brought up where it's like the best way for like DAOs to be successful or to onboard people into DAOs or Web3 is to make a profit, right? So if you made a profit through NFTs, you're most likely going to buy more NFTs, right? So if you make a profit through your DAO, you're most likely going to tell more people to join your DAO or like do more things within your DAO. So yeah, I mean, that would be the whole goal, or that is the whole goal a lot of times with DAOs. And like, yeah, I mean, it comes down to kind of like human dynamics, right? Where we all do things to be incentivized or rewarded at the end of the day.
And with Upstream, so you help people create the DAO very easily. Does it also like manage the DAO afterward? Do you do the voting through Upstream and things like that?
Yeah. So our sweet spot is kind of like DAO in a box. So what that really means is you have your treasury on Upstream, your voting's done on Upstream, your chat can be done on Upstream, your proposals. So if you want to implement ideas, it's all done on Upstream. So you don't really need any other like plugin on Upstream. Okay. So, and we're also launching mobile too, because a lot of times you're on the go. We're like, oh my God, everybody vote on it.
Right. You get like a notification if you have to vote on something. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you get notified and you can do it from your phone.
Yep. And what do people expect to pay? Like, what do you have like is there a percentage or what do you guys charge?
Yeah. So right now it's fully free just because we're testing it out. We launched it publicly in March. And then eventually we're going to take a small transaction fee. Yep. So there's no upfront costs to start it.
Do you think there'll be transaction fees like in the future, even on the ones that are free now, probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's a lot of the models right now too with Web3 is just getting users to use the product and kind of rewarding them. And then eventually, like, when people kind of get hooked, you like introduce ways of making money. I'm curious because you guys throw a lot of events, and are you in charge of throwing like all of the events, the in real life events?
Yeah. So what happened was, since we were like a Web2 platform before, we had a really, really pop-in virtual community. So especially during the pandemic. So we had a platform where you can join a virtual event and then join the breakout rooms to get matched with somebody randomly. And then you get to meet with them and you get to chat with them. And then we had an office hour feature, or we have one still, where you can set up one-on-one times to chat if you wanted to meet someone. And then we had an ask board where it's like, I'm looking for an intro to an investor. I'm a startup in the prop tech space, or, I'm looking for a lawyer in the startup space. So people were able to help each other. So when the pandemic started, like, simmering down a little bit, we started hosting in-person events in our major tech hubs. So that's kind of how we started building our like in real life community, but also like our virtual one as like side by side. And when we started getting into Web3, we just keep hosting events every month.
Yeah. And there's always like, there'll be big conferences going on. And then, Upstream will always I remember Upstream was like the official after party of was it NFT NYC or was it something in Miami? I always confuse all the events and like jumble them together. But that was the first Upstream event I ever went to.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was because you came to the one in November. So
Yeah.
so I think it could have been that one, but we're also at Art Basel. We hosted NFT Basel's after party. So if you were there, that's where we were too.
Yeah, I was there too. I feel like I've been maybe to like 4 Upstream events now.
Nice. You're an MVP.
Yeah, just racking them up. Upstream has the best events because also, a lot of events are token gated, and it's like, but for Upstream, it's like you just kind of have to sign up and you can come. And that's how we did our Web3 event too. It was like you signed up through Upstream and then you could attend.
Yeah.
What's like your favorite part about throwing Web3 events?
Yeah. So for me, I really enjoy, I try to balance it out. So I host a lot of like big events, but I host a lot of intimate events because at the end of the day, it's like not everybody's that extroverted and wants to walk into a happy hour with 300 people. But, maybe a small dinner where, there's going to be Web3 people there might be better for you. So that way you can pick and choose. But I think for me, it's always been like bringing people together. Like I grew up playing soccer, so I was always like organizing games or, hey, girls, like let's all go to breakfast after practice. So I've always been like a community organizer. And something that I always keep with me is like, making a connection or introduction or making someone's day is free, but it can be priceless for somebody else. So for me, it's really rewarding to host events and people are enjoying it, or at least leaving the event with one valuable, new connection or even like feedback that they could learn and I don't know, use for their benefit.
No, that's really cool. And that leads into something we actually talked about for a second before we started. But what do you say you have in South Florida, like the text chain where you let people know when there's events happening? Because I want to get in on that because people know I'm in South Florida, and I was reading through your tweets today, and I saw that. So
so
I was stalking you earlier.
Yeah,
today.
you can stalk me all day. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I was an ecosystem builder before I was in Web3 space, so naturally, owning ecosystems is something I like to do. Not owning, but at least empowering. So I noticed that there's a lot of people moving to Miami, but we don't have like a centralized place to like hear about all the Web3 events or even just like, have a seat at the table. Because a lot of times like here in Miami and everywhere else, it's like, you have to know somebody to be invited or to know what's in the know, but there's nothing like that. So I literally tweeted like, hey, like whoever's in Miami or South Florida, if you want to know about Web3 events, like engage with this tweet. The tweet blew up. So I was like, okay, now I have to like I was really just going to invite a few people to like some upcoming events we had. Like, okay, I need to actually create like a whole plan for this. So I started a text community similar to Gary Vee's community. So anytime you text me or that number that I have on my Twitter, you will be updated, or every time I post it or hear about an event on in South Florida, I share it on there and you get notified. And I get a lot of positive feedback from it, and like it literally makes my day.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Do you know about the what is it? It's coming up in Palm Beach, like August 19th to 21st, the crypto conference or whatever?
Yeah, I'm going to be moderating a panel. Are you going to be
really?
there?
Yeah, one of our listeners sent me a code for 2 free platinum VIP tickets.
Oh, okay, yeah. We should.
I won't say who it was, but one of our listeners who's become a buddy has sent that. So I'm going to go.
Cool. Yeah, I'll see you there.
Yeah, sweet. That's awesome. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and I mean, events are a great way to like actually meet the people you've been talking to online, like in person. And, like you had said before, like developing more of a sense of community. Do you find that a lot of the same people come to these events that you throw?
Yeah, I definitely have my OG community members and I always take care of them because I'm like grateful that they're still coming back. And like, the best thing about the same people that come to your events is they become your ambassadors because they feel like they belong, and they'll like talk about how great the community is and how helpful these events are when you're not in the room. So I love the people that show to my events, and I always take care of them or like even throw them an extra drink ticket or kind of just make a mental note of what they're looking for. And anytime I hear somebody's there, I'm like, okay, you have to meet this person. But they also do a good job of making the people that haven't gone to the event feel welcome. And for me, that's super, super important. Even at Upstream, like we always prioritize giving and receiving help. So the more we over communicate that, the more people at our events know, and everybody has like that mindset. Like it should be a game. We should gamify it.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Start earning tokens if you come to events. You can redeem for something.
Yeah, or like the more you help people, the more tokens you get.
Hey, that'd be cool. And also, I was thinking earlier. So the co-founder of Upstream that you were talking about, where you're like Steph's co-founder Will and my co-founder are like best friends. Alexander Taub, it was so funny because when I kept talking about our Web3 party that we were throwing on the pod, it came out that he was like on the team behind the goblins. And I was just curious, did you know about that? Like, because I mean, the team was so secretive for so long. And then all of a sudden they came out and they're like, we're behind the goblins and all that. Like, did he tell you? Did you know about it?
No, I didn't know about it. And I was a little bit disappointed. I'm like, all right, well, I better get a goblin now. If you're not telling me about
he could have told you the alpha early. But I mean, word spreads fast. So start telling one person, next thing you know.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, like, I definitely get it. Cause if you tell one person, like it's natural, right? You hear a secret, you have to tell one person, like you just have to. So, but I mean, it was really impressive. I mean, Alex is just like, it didn't surprise me because Alex is such a visionary. Even, his first project, the Illuminati, which is like Truth Labs. I remember being in a co-working space because he's based out of Miami too. And he was telling us this crazy idea about like how he owns at Truth on Twitter and like what if it was Illuminati community and blah, blah, blah. And of course I'm like, yeah, that sounds amazing. 2-3 months later, he launches a project in December. So I was like, all right, like this guy can really create anything. So like Goblin Town, yeah, that's not surprising.
Was that him doing the voices in those like Twitter spaces?
On the Twitter space.
No. I hope not. I mean, he should be building Upstream, not 3-hour Twitter spaces on doing Goblin voices. I mean, but that sounds fun.
What were you doing? You like thought he was like behind the scenes building and he's just like creating goblins. That's funny.
Yeah. No, I love the goblins are just so cute though,
I mean, I wouldn't say they're cute, but that's a stretch. I think they're like supposed to be ugly, like on purpose,
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely.
But I guess they're cute in they're ugly in a cute way.
Well, they're so ugly, they're cute.
Oh, there we go. Yes. I was kind of curious. I kept kind of like, this thought kept like popping back up in my mind. So now I need to ask you, what did you do after the whole, like, you're working for that guy, like the speaker, and then, I mean, a couple years happened and then boom, Upstream. What was kind of like, what did you do in that time in between?
Yeah, I mean, so while I was working for the global speaker, I was finishing up my master's. I played soccer in college. So while I was doing my master's, I was still playing soccer. And honestly, like my goal after grad school was to go play soccer abroad in Colombia. And, but I was studying entrepreneurship as my master, my MBA. And I ended up having to start a business in 8 weeks for class. So it was so funny because it's a pretty good idea. It's an Airbnb of storage for college students in the summer. So our school was 24% international. So all these students are paying like $300 to $400 for their storage. And a lot of the students had empty apartments and so did teachers. So my group project and we ended up launching this outside of class. And, we ended up getting customers. We got invited for an accelerator in South Florida. And I was like, you know what? I can always go play soccer next year. Like I can't always get the startup opportunity. So as part of the accelerator, we pivoted to warehouses. So we used to connect underutilized warehouses with companies that had seasonal fluctuation, inventory overflow, like all like the unsexy stuff no one wants to talk about. I was like literally door to door in warehouses. And then, yeah, I mean, I left the startup and then I was going to go play soccer, but COVID happened. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, there's probably not a good sign that I can't go play soccer anymore. So I ended up just working for Tech Hub South Florida, building the startup and tech scene, started meeting some amazing people. I learned a lot about community before community was cool. Like I used to have to explain what I did. Like people were like, so you're a community manager? What does that even mean? And then now it's like we're in Web3 and everyone's like, I need a community manager. I'm like, where were you 3 years ago? So yeah, so I've always been like the startup scene. Even, Upstream, we're a Series A startup. So it's definitely like I don't know, I like it. I like the hustle. I like the grind. I like the ideas and stuff like that. So
yeah, I definitely feel like you have that like entrepreneur blood, where it's like you're just always wanting to do like innovative things. And yeah, startups, the cool thing about startups is you can be very involved. It's like regular corporate jobs, you kind of stick to like specific tasks and roles. But for startups, it's like you often wear many different hats and, do different things. Okay, so soccer, you play soccer though still, because I remember recently you went to Colombia and you were playing soccer.
Yeah, no, I went to Qatar. Qatar.
My bad.
Same difference. Same
well,
difference.
Qatar and Colombia. Yeah, I still try to play. I played for the first time this past Monday, since Qatar, basically. We hosted a football DAO tournament in New York City, like during NFT NYC, just to get like people active during NFT NYC. And that was with Web3 Familia. And also I love soccer because it brings together different people of all different backgrounds. So yeah, that was the last time I played soccer. But yeah, I still try to play. I went to Qatar because my friends and I were all like retired college players. We won like a 5v5 tournament that's sponsored by Red Bull. And Red Bull goes to all these countries around the world, hosts these mini soccer tournaments, and then they fly out the winning team of each country to the World Cup final that is like hosted by Neymar. So Neymar was there, and there's 32 different countries staying in the same hotel. And I literally felt like I was at camp. It was amazing.
Cool.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah. Monica is like just skilled at like so many different things, and like practically professional soccer player. Amazing community, head of community, great at throwing events. Yeah, and I feel like you're also the ultimate extrovert. And you very much are like, remind me of my sister as well, because she's very extroverted too.
Oh, well, I appreciate all these kind words. Like, I definitely want to hear more about you guys too. Like, what are your guys' take on community, and like, do you guys think community in Web3 is so important?
It's a great question. Community came up big time with these early NFT projects and all the projects like throughout 2021, where everybody, you wanted to galvanize people around something. And that's how these projects were successful. And a lot of them were uber successful because of it. Your community advertises for you, just like you said, from those dinners and things like that, and parties, and people have fun. They will tell other people will come in. And, is it always going to be like that? It's probably going to get more like the real world is with products, and community doesn't always matter, but sometimes it will for niche stuff. But it was hugely important, and still really is. This whole Twitter community is amazing around, Web3. And that's my take. Community really helped build the NFT. VV Top Shot is a giant community. That's one of the things they do really well. Whether you love them or hate them, people are always talking about them.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I think people like to feel like they're a part of something, and sharing similar passions and interests especially in your adult life, I think can be a little bit harder. For example, when you're a kid, if you make friends with the students in your class, maybe you're all taking art class together and it's like you share that common interest. As you get older, as an adult, you have your job, not necessarily, a lot of people aren't really passionate about their job. And then they go home to their family or watch TV, whatever. And I just feel like NFTs really brought people together because everyone is kind of sharing this common interest of just being really into, I don't know whether you're in it for the tech or the money. And then all these small communities start forming, or maybe, collecting NBA Top Shot moments into basketball. You're just kind of like sharing a common interest that other human adults are sharing as well. And I feel like that's really special. And like I said, like, unless you're into sports or like extracurricular, oh my God, I cannot say that word, extra activities as an adult, it's a little bit harder, I feel like, to make friends and like naturally. So I think a lot of people kind of latched on to NFTs and these groups, started forming groups around it. And especially online, I think it's so much easier for a lot of people, especially if you're introverted. Or maybe, you can talk to people all around the world. You can have friends, that live anywhere. It doesn't have to be proximity based, which is cool too. But yeah, I just feel like a lot of people are always online, these days, online, social media, like that's a very popular thing for people to be on. And I just feel like in the beginning, especially, it was really a tight knit community. There's not that many people into the same thing as you. And then as we get bigger and more people, I almost feel like, honestly, I kind of feel like everyone's heard of NFTs, but they don't really know what they are. But, now it starts branching out into smaller communities within different things. So it's like, I have a doodle, for example, and then I feel slightly connected to everybody else who has a doodle because, we all kind of have the same NFT and I don't know, there's something a little bit special about that. And so, yeah, I feel like NFTs really helped like just cultivate friendships and a lot of people will interview people that have, honestly, they could sell it all and they could just live their life and they wouldn't have to work a day in their life, but they continue to grind and hustle and work in Web3 because of the connections they've made. And that's literally the glue holding them so that while they're still here,
Yeah. I mean, you made a lot of really good points. And even like, I have another question that just sparked while you guys were talking. How do you choose your community? I know you mentioned that with doodles because you feel like you have a certain connection with them, but like there's so like, let's say if you guys probably own hundreds or even thousands of NFTs. Like, how do you choose which communities you want to be actively a part of?
Great question. It's hard to be actively a part of so many too, Sometimes it comes down to, money for me. Is it something I think is going to do really well? Sometimes it's like the person putting it on and what you might be able to get, like, the tangible values. And sometimes it's to support somebody that you think is really great. And you just want to own something of theirs and be part of it because of that. So I have all different ways. For sure.
Yeah, Michael's like a trader. He's definitely like into the money aspect of things. Maybe more than most, or I guess representing like the traders.
Not as much as I used to be. Like last year, May, June, July, August, I was like buying and selling everything I could, like as many as I could. But I've slowed down on that a little bit just because of the dynamics of the market at this point, where there's been a lot of garbage out there. I'm not sure how much you keep up on it, but it's been wild. There's been some good stuff too, but it's few and far between with how many projects are dropping and how much weird stuff is out there.
I love how Monica just like decided to start asking us questions. No, Monica, this is your interview. So yeah, I want to ask you, how do you build a strong community? Like, what are some factors that you see across communities that they have in common?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's one thing right there. Like, I would just ask you guys a lot of questions so I could understand like what value you want to gain from the community, right? So a lot of times the community and even just NFT projects, people start saying, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. And if you don't deliver, like you really lose accountability with your community. And I've learned that the hard way too, where it's like, yeah, you have all these great ideas, but you really want to do everything.
It
and you
turns
don't
quick. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And it's hard. And like running community is a full-time job. It's something you think about 24/7 because you're dealing with humans and you can't really shut that off. But like some of my best practices in community is like, one is like my number one rule is like treat everybody equal based on like, their roles. But obviously if there's like a bad guy in the community, I'm not going to treat them equally. But yeah, like you never know who you're talking to. You never know what people are going through. Like be authentic.
Yep.
People can read through that right away. Another thing I like to do is really focus on my goal. And if it's not going to get me closer to my community goal, then I can't really focus on it. I mean, it can always complement it, but I can't spend too much time on it. But also I try to over communicate, right? So if I need help or if I can't get to somebody's message, I'll be like, look, I'm really sorry. Like NFT NYC really made me tired. Like I have 50 DMs that I need to respond to. I really appreciate your patience. People won't be bitter towards you. They'll actually appreciate your honesty. And then they'll start being honest with other community members as well. So remembering that people are human is something else I like to focus on. I also try to remember that you build trust through educating. So the more I educate people about DAOs or Web3 or anything that could be helpful, I naturally start building trust with them. I don't want to give away all my secrets.
The alpha, sharing the community.
I'm happy to like.
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about community whenever.
Yeah. No, and your question was a good one. It was how do you decide which ones to get in? And that's kind of how I answered. And then the residual is, and probably one of the reasons why I'm in so many of them is because you meet the best people. Like I've met people that I'm literally friends with in a lot of these different communities. People that, I have more friends now than I've had in a long time since joining the NFT space. Like, no doubt. That's go to these conferences. And I was actually half considering going over to NFT London coming up in a few months.
Ooh, wait, when's that?
I think it's in like November.
Early November. I think it's like the 3rd and the 4th, I want to say.
Ooh,
I was half considering, because there's flights. You can fly right from Miami to London.
Oh, yeah. Let me know if you go, because I was looking at ETH Lisbon.
Oh, when is that one?
That's like the last week of October, like early November.
Oh, wow. Could be a double.
Yeah, double trouble.
Yeah. Lisbon's actually on my bucket list. I haven't been there yet.
Me too. I literally have like a whole Notion page for it.
Oh, really? Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
I was actually supposed to go just a couple of weeks ago. I was supposed to have 12 days in Europe, but I had to cancel it to help. Like my family needed help. So.
Oh, that's so kind of you.
Michael travels a lot. I know you travel a lot too, Monica. Both of you have that in common. World travelers.
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta travel while you can, right?
Yeah, heck yeah.
True.
I
love
definitely
need to get out more.
Yeah, you have to talk to me, Jennifer. I'll give you some.
I know.
And I'm really good at looking at Google flights and finding really cheap flights and stuff. And we're lucky from South Florida. You can go anywhere. I've been all over Central and South America, and you can fly anywhere direct for pretty cheap.
Yeah, are you gonna go to DEF CON in Bogota in October?
I hadn't thought about it, but it's a possibility. And I haven't been to Bogota. I've been to Medellin and Cartagena.
Nice. Yeah, you're gonna have to go to Bogota. Yeah, because there's like a few conferences lined up for that for October. So.
Oh, really? I might even prefer that over London.
Yeah, actually, there's I started following crypto nomads on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I started seeing all events I should be going to.
Crypto nomads. That's I got to check that out.
Crypto nomads _GM.
Nice. Cool. I'm going to look at it right now.
That's the alpha, folks.
Yep. There it is. Finally.
Monica, what's your favorite country you visited outside the US?
So I really like Austria. It's super underrated and the water is beautiful and there's waterfalls and then it literally looks like The Sound of Music, or maybe that's where it was hosted or filmed.
Ooh, that's cool. Austria. I honestly don't even know where that is. I have to look it up.
It's right by Germany.
Okay. In Europe. Okay, right by Germany. Nice. My kind of like last question here relating to like community and Web3 is, if somebody is, maybe they're working in the Web2 space, maybe they're working like some in real life job, but they want to get into Web3. They want to start working in Web3. Maybe they want to be a community manager. What advice would you give to somebody looking to work in Web3 that doesn't have experience working in Web3 yet?
Yeah. Specifically on the community manager role?
Yeah. Community manager.
Yeah. So one thing I always tell people is like, one is like surround yourself with who you want to be with or who you want to be like. So for example, if you're not on Twitter, then you should definitely get on Twitter and then like look up different hashtags and say community or Web3 community and see who's actually tweeting and see what you have in common with people and reach out to jump on a call with them. Cause I'm sure like community people, we always like to help each other. But then also like, understand what you want to get involved in Web3, right? So like Web3 is huge. If you really like NFTs, you like the value behind it, it's always been an interesting topic for you. Like start looking up like other like really good NFT communities and why they're successful. If you really want to get into community, I do recommend DAOs because literally DAOs are communities and there's we need so many DAO community managers. So definitely get on that wave. But some things that you can start practicing is one is like being really organized and on top of things, and being consistent, right? Because a lot of times community building is about showing up. It's about being consistent with your actions and doing things over and over again. And then also I would recommend figuring out ways, like fun ways, but like that are a little bit more, because like I think a community is like the next level of sales because people do business with people they like. So start like thinking of ways to like really build relationships with people. And it takes like, a few months to build relationships with people for people to actually trust you. So really think about the long-term game as well. And then just follow Web2 communities as well. Web2 and Web3 communities are very similar when it comes to strategy. The main difference between Web2 and Web3 community, in my opinion, is maybe like the return on investment. Because with Web2 communities, let's say if you're not really in communities to see that big of an ROI unless you're doing something like the Tony Robbins community or even like a real estate community. But in Web3, it's like, hey, you could still really like, certain NFT projects, but you're 100% going to see an ROI because the people in that project know what they're talking about too. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And honestly, I loved like everything you said there, but what really stood out to me was like you saying like showing up, being consistent and, just starting to build relationships within the space. Because honestly, if you know what you want to do and you just start building relationships, people will be able to help you get whatever you want. Like people will gladly, if you show to be valuable and provide value and just give, like they're going to want to be able to help you out back. And, a lot of people that I know that are in community manager roles and positions, like started out exactly like that. Just putting in the work, just kind of doing things for free and being helpful and being consistent and getting to know people in this space. And like you said, the space that you want to be in, figure out, is it NFTs? Like you aren't even actually really into NFTs. Like you don't really collect NFTs. And I know we kind of focus our podcast usually about NFTs, but there's a lot of different Web3 companies and Web3 jobs that aren't centered around NFTs. It doesn't always have to be about NFTs. And I think people kind of, sometimes they equate, Web3 equals NFTs, but it's like, no, that's not always the case.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, a lot of NFT projects are starting DAOs now too. So sometimes they do overlap, but like, it doesn't have to always be NFTs, like even like the metaverse, right? Like I know about the metaverse because I hear about it and like I'll read headlines. I won't actually read articles, just the headlines. So yeah, I mean, there is so much more. And like, yeah, Jenny, you definitely hit it on the head where it's like, if you really bring value to someone, naturally they'll 100% bring value to you.
Yeah. Michael, any last minute questions before we wrap this up?
Yeah, that was very interesting. Do you own any NFTs at all?
Yeah. So like, it's just funny because Jenny and Steph, they're such big collectors.
Right, for sure.
We'll host like like a ladies' night and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, guys, like try not to talk to me about NFTs because like I don't know about like the way you guys do, but I definitely follow it. And I definitely like all my Twitter is really about like NFTs and Web3. And like obviously, the co-founder of my company, he's like really big into NFTs. But I actually have a 187 from his Illuminati collection, which is like super rare right now. So that's probably my my blue chip.
Nice.
What about you guys? I mean, I do have one more question, and this is because like I'm so used to doing this. Upstream was like created about giving and receiving help, and I wanted to ask you guys, like, what is something we can do to help both you guys, whether it's personal or professionally, like what's a give we can give you guys?
VIP at all of the events, roll out the red carpet. I'm just kidding. I mean, I guess I'll go first. Honestly, like you already provide so much value. You're such a kind human. Like, I love that you're always, talking about being grateful and like, just, your energy is like, that is good enough for me. But yes, please make sure if any of your events that you throw, don't let them sell out. Just save one more spot for me so that I can come to them. Thank you.
Of course.
That is my only request.
That's funny. No, I definitely don't have anything to ask for. I'm not going to ask for anything, but that's very nice of you to offer. And if there's ever anything that comes up, maybe I'll say you offered.
You know where I live, Miami.
You said.
Exactly. Remember you said on the podcast 5 years ago, I need an ask.
I'm saving it. I'm redeeming it now.
Yeah. The golden ticket.
Right. Exactly.
Awesome. Well,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Michael.
No, I guess I was going to ask one more quick one. Do you have any DAOs that you think are really awesome, doing a great job? Do you think maybe people should look at when learning about it? And second part to that is, can you still get involved in some of them, or some of them are closed, or is it like a mixed bag?
Yeah. And I kind of like, I can't believe I didn't bring this up because it's actually like our launch day, but I'm a core contributor to Choice DAO. So Choice DAO.
I saw that. Yep.
Yeah. And like, literally it was created to first, it's like educate people on how like a single purpose DAO can really change the world or like bring people together. So we're raising money to fight the reproductive rights for women. So today was actually our launch day. So to give you guys like even a rundown, like it took us 26 days to even launch it because of the legal. So legal is very important with DAOs. And our goal right now is to raise $1 million in 26 days to fight this cause, but also like the $1 million is going to fund nonprofits that are already doing the work. So we're like combining Web2 and Web3, and we've had so many communities support it. But if you guys want to check out at the Choice DAO and donate, that'd be amazing. That's definitely a DAO that I saw like start from just an idea at NFT NYC. Literally, it was an idea. Wow. And then that Thursday, we all were working on it together. And by Friday, we had a core team. So feel free to check that out. And to answer your like initial question about like what DAOs you should join.
Or even just check out and learn about that are doing a really good job.
Yeah, I like Developer DAO. I think that it's really, really crazy to think about what they've done. Like they have like people working full-time operating this, newsletters, a women community within the DAO. It looks like a whole little community. I mean, I'm sure if everybody in Developer DAO moved to a little town, it'd be called Developer Town, and like it'd work fully functioning because like they've done an amazing job. But another DAO resource I really like is DAO Masters. So they're actually their own DAO, but they're constantly sharing knowledge and their favorite DAOs too.
Oh, cool. Good stuff. Yeah. Well, thanks, Monica. It was really nice to meet you. I am going to DM you on Twitter eventually to get on that list because I'd love to go to some of those events. I love that stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
For sure.
Yes. Amazing. I would love to have you there.
Cool. Wonderful.
Hey. And yes, maybe when I eventually move to Miami, me as well. I would like to be on that list.
Is that some alpha there?
Oh, moving to I've honestly always like wanted to live in Miami.
Yeah.
I lived in Tampa, Florida for a year, and that was nice. Miami's it's pretty expensive, but I would I don't know, it'd be my dream to like live by the beach, and I don't know, we'll see what I can do, but
it's down here.
It's nice down here. It's nice down here.
Yeah, I just love the beach and the humidity. I'm a huge fan. Everyone's like, oh, the humidity is gross, and I'm like, I like the humidity. I don't have to moisturize my skin. Like, I don't need to put lotion on. It's great. I can just step outside, boom, good to go.
Yeah, sweat. Sweat all day. I love it.
It's great. And I don't wear makeup because I just sweat it off. So, but yeah, Monica, honestly, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was such a pleasure bringing you on and, hearing about your Web3 journey and our history together and just, you're just a fountain of knowledge. So thank you so much. And, thank you all for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.